Thank you, Roger. It's actually a new experience for me, because normally I watch Paul entertain a crowd full of people and then I go home. Rather than come on and try and follow it on. But I'll do the best I can. I'd like to add my thanks to John and Sue and Roger and Di, and all guests, everyone here who's made it from far and around in order to be here. And of course, the new Mr. and Mrs. Young for this fantastic day. I've known Paul since school, when we were aged 13, which is now a great many years ago. And it was, when Paul asked me to be his mess out, I was honoured, but it was also quite daunting knowing I have to follow a professional stand-up comic. This isn't something I normally do. So I did what all best men seem to do, which was turn and look at the internet. And after a couple of hours of searching, I found some brilliant stuff, but none of it wedding-related, so I narrowed my range slightly. After a little while, I found lots of brilliant wedding-related material, but unfortunately none of it related to a couple named Paul and Zoe, so I couldn't actually use any of it. So I decided a personal route made slightly more sense, so I thought about which of my friends was naturally quite funny and had a lot of experience of writing and performing stand-up comedy, and then realised that Paul was the best candidate to help me out with this. But the speech that he wrote me wasn't that good. Lots of references to sporting and academic achievements that were mostly fictional, and no references to wearing women's clothes whatsoever. So I thought I'd just go it alone. In the end, the best advice I actually got was from Zoe, who just said, say nice things about me and poke fun at Paul. And two things that generally I find very easy to do on a daily basis, especially today when Zoe, you look stunning, and Paul, you've done the best you could. It's embarrassing we've turned up wearing the same outfit, but we'll have to just push through it as best we can. And then Paul and I have been friends since school. I was trying to remember what actually brought us together as friends. I think the catalyst was a lack of sporting ability whatsoever. We were both gently but firmly encouraged away from any sort of team event. Both rugby, because we would have been seriously injured, and also hockey, because giving two people without any real sense of coordination a very big wooden stick was also a recipe for disaster. So we both found ourselves regularly at the back of the cross-country running group, just chatting about life, really. I say the cross-country running group, it's more the cross-country brisk walk. I say brisk walk. It was a slow crawl, as best we could. But no, so sporting was not your area, but performing was always where Paul's leaning lay. He made his debut at age 7 on stage, playing the part of one of the ugly sisters in Cinderella, which I'd always known about. He'd never made any great secret of that. And then his mum added one vital aspect, which is that in that performance you gave a wonderful soprano version of I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, while wearing a sequin dress and wearing a psychedelic wig, which I think should be part of your next Edinburgh show. I'd like to see that quite a lot. And writing, of course, is also where Paul's talents lie, and that was starting to emerge about the same age. He wrote in one of his exercise books, "My New Year's resolution is to do more stories." And his teacher replied, "You can but try." And I think he did try, and it's turned out quite well. Even at school, a few of us grouped together to write and record our own sketches, just for our own entertainment, really. And filled with a bit too much optimism, we sent them off to the BBC to see what they thought. And we actually got a reply back, rather than the restraining order we probably deserved, which was politely dismissive, but did single out one sketch as showing a lot of potential, which was, of course, one of Paul's. And since then, Paul's actually gone on to work for the guy who rejected you that first time, and has written a lot more things that the BBC has appreciated properly. The rest of us decided to go elsewhere. But your effort extended through school and university, ranging from the high drama of 12 Angry Men and the low comedy of dressing up as Britney Spears in a miniskirt and pigtails and singing Hit Me Baby One More Time. An invitation which I'm fairly sure lots of people in the audience gladly took you up on after the show. But it's also a university where things took a slightly darker turn, and Paul developed an addiction to something that's quite toxic and can have hideous side effects on everyone around him. His love of kebabs began to worry everyone. He was the only person anyone knew who, multiple times a week, without even the benefit of an evening's drinking, would venture out from his house, still in his slippers, to his local kebab shop for his evening meal. But I'm fairly sure that Paul became a stand-up comedian largely to give him an excuse to travel the country in search of ever more lethal forms of takeaway food. culminating in regularly performing at the Edinburgh Festival, which is the spiritual home of junk food. And having been there many times and seen Paul consume a Donna meat pizza and battered cheeseburgers, and worse, I can say with certainty that, yeah, Edinburgh is the home to the most lethal forms of takeaway known to man. And I say man specifically because women generally have a lot more sense. Which leads me on to Zoe, a wonderful woman with a lot of sense, despite marrying Paul. They met about 3 years ago and immediately hit it off, even before they discovered each other's inexplicable love of Roxette. And Paul and I often chat online, or frequently at 3 AM, as he said, after Paul gets back from a gig. And very early in their relationship, Paul said he wouldn't be surprised if they were engaged within 18 months. And ever the latecomer, it took him slightly longer than that, but hopefully Zoe will agree it was worth the wait. I think the two of you are clearly meant to be, because the odds of two Roxette fans living anywhere near each other, meeting each other and falling for each other must be pretty slim. And Zoe, among her many great attributes, has been a positive influence on Paul. Largely dietarily, I think, among many other things. He's discovered the food group of vegetables, and long may it continue. Although the old Paul does still sneak in, not too long ago, Paul's housemate Jennifer, who did the calligraphy, came home to find Paul sat in his dressing gown, eating a Victoria sponge cake like a hamburger. No, it's true. To his credit, he did look ashamed of himself. But his protestations at the jam filling counted as one of his 5 a day. Yeah, he still does have some weird ideas about what constitutes healthy eating, largely assuming anything found in a Harvester salad cart must be healthy. I'm going to take this public opportunity, Paul, to tell you that bacon bits and cheese aren't salad.